First Class Radio, WMRC, WMRCDailyNews.com. It's Ray Ozier broadcasting live from Whitcomb House in Milford. We're located right on 140. We're broadcasting live till 10 o'clock as we celebrate National Nursing Home Week at a different location every single day. Now, Whitcomb House here is a assisted living facility, and we ran into that yesterday with the Forge Hill, too, so we want to make note of that. And joining me right now is somebody who can give us a different perspective on the process here. Morin has both his mother and mother-in-law living here at Whitcomb House. Hi, Rolly. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining me for a few minutes.
My pleasure.
Are you a local guy, Rolly?
I live in Mendon.
Mendon?
Grew up in Hopedale, born in Woonsocket, Rhode Island.
Okay,
so
you're a local
the territory.
Guy. Yeah. Now, your mother and your mother-in-law are both here.
Yes, they are.
What was that process like? Who came first, by the way?
Well, my mother came first, and kind of interesting because, sometimes you think of the normal progression as going from home to assisted living to a nursing home. My mother broke her hip, went into a nursing home, and it looked like she was going to be there for probably the rest of her life, and then wound up getting so well that the folks at the nursing home said, too much care here, you don't need this, and so we had to go to a transition to assisted living, going kind of in the other direction. So my mother, Dell, has been here for about 2+ years now. Okay. And that was based on family decision with my sisters and I, and my brother who lives in North Carolina. So
now, I would imagine it was probably, I'm sure it was a tough time for her.
Well, it was interesting because she had gotten so used to the nursing home, she didn't want to leave there.
Yeah, she got to know people, she knew the staff, sure.
So we had to make that transition, and so obviously we looked around and wanted some, certainly something local. Yeah. My mother lived in Hopedale for the last 60 years, and so we talked to her about it, and she was very understanding. She said, "Look, whatever you kids decide is okay with me," and so we brought her here to Whitcomb House, and really have never looked back. That was a great decision.
Well, she comes in here. She's used to the staff at the nursing home. She's a little uneasy. 2+ years later, tell me about her stay here and how she's enjoyed it so much. I think
that she's settled in pretty well. I think that in my mother's case, it's more the memory aspect that is an issue, but she's enjoyed her stay here, and she has made some friends here, and so far so good.
That's great. Now tell me about your mother-in-law.
My mother-in-law, Stella, she has only been here for a month. And this was a different transition because she was living at home by herself. She's 92, but she had someone who lived in the house with her. My wife's Diane's cousin lived upstairs, so there was someone in the house. But after a recent bout that brought her into the hospital for a mild stroke, all the folks who came in, the visiting nurses, the nurse the therapist, what have you, said it was really time, and the doctor had been doing that. So it was a rather interesting discussion on the day that we decided that we really needed to talk to her about this, but we got through it, and she understood where we are, and so she's settling in. So she's still in transition, getting to know her. She's a different kind of person than my mother is, and so she seems to be settling in and making friends.
You said it was you and your wife in that case, but you and your sisters had to make the decision for your mother. Yep. And that was your first experience here at Whitcomb House.
Yes.
So tell me what the process was like dealing with Whitcomb House and transferring your mother here.
That part was pretty straightforward. I think it's a matter of deciding where you want to go, and if you walked around the facility, this facility is very bright, very airy, as are a number of them, and what you wanted is something close by, because my sister lives in Uxbridge, I have one sister lives in Millville, my brother lives in North Carolina, so it doesn't make any difference for him. And I live right behind Lowell's off Bellingham Street, so I'm not far away. Okay. So that was one of the criteria. We wanted to be fairly close, so if something we were needed for some reason, we could do that. So
how was it working with the staff here?
Absolutely great. First of all, they make an effort, as Claire said, to know everybody, so it doesn't take long, but they know who you are, they know who's coming in, and we appointed my sister kind of the point person for medical issues, so that they knew exactly who to call and provide the backups. And my mother, when she went through this period, I think Claire mentioned this, she had fallen down, just bruised herself, didn't get hurt, went into hospital, went into rehab. That's always a very stressful when seniors probably for anybody who goes back and forth, into the hospital. She came back here, unfortunately, did not do well, went back out again to the hospital, came back in, and when she needed it, we all agreed that it looked like she needed the more care that was associated with the memory care unit.
Okay.
And the nice thing about this organization is it's not very hard to get to talk to the owners about, well, how do we do this? And, keeping it simple. And we moved my mother into memory care for a couple of weeks and determined that she didn't need memory care anymore. But it was nice to have the flexibility to move her in, not worry about her apartment here, move her back out again. Yeah. And so that worked out very well.
So you didn't have to talk to 15 different people to get to the owners?
The lines of communication are pretty short because most of the time either Pam or Chris is here, so you say hello to one of the owners probably anytime you visit.
Yeah, that's so important.
It really is.
I mean, you really want to know every aspect of where you're bringing your loved one, and you want to know who owns the place. As simple as that.
Well, if you don't know exactly who they are, you certainly want to be able to talk to them if you have that need. And it is really, and for example, a situation like this that obviously affects costs when you're moving from one area to the other, that was done very smoothly. It was really transparent. It was a brief visit, a phone call, and matter of fact, I think it was resolved. My sister happened to be here and caught all the right people in the right place, and in about 10 minutes they said, okay, this is what we're going to do, and called me up, signed with me, and that was it.
The decision process is stressful enough, so you don't need that on this end, too, and it sounds like they made it very easy for you.
I think that you're right, and particularly if you can transition and it doesn't take long. First of all, it's a very small facility, relatively speaking, and boy, they get to know each other. They know who's new coming in, and they make an effort to talk to people and welcome them and make them feel welcome.
Tell me about how memory care is not the end of the road.
Well, I guess my experience with it was only limited for a couple of weeks. Typically what happens is people who have memory issues, and my mother certainly has some memory issues, they get to a point where they need that extra care that's in memory, and that's where we thought she was headed, quite frankly. Yeah. And it turned out that she only needed that for a short period of time. And that was kind of interesting how that developed, because you could see that she was not ready for that. Okay. And we really didn't need a doctor to help us that. We could see that. The staff here could see that and said, well, okay, let's move her back and see how it goes. Well, for her, that only happened to be one floor down and, about 300 feet over. So it wasn't like it was a big deal to do that. So it was pretty straightforward. So that, that's obviously for folks who can't be by themselves and need that additional, more than an assist living. That's the next step, and it's kind of nice to have that available here.
Rolly, thank you very much for your time. Rolly Morin, his mother and mother-in-law, are both here at Whitcomb House, and they're having a great time. They enjoy it here thoroughly, don't they, Rolly?
Oh, they seem to be.
All right. So far, so good?
Yep, it is.
All right. Rolly, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thank you.
All right.